towards the third poem, The Ball poem by John Berryman. Now, before we begin, there's a question before you. What would you do? What would your reaction be if you lost something really precious to you? Maybe a watch, maybe your cell, God forbid, maybe anything that's really very dear to you and you know you cannot get it back. You have to lose hopes. What would you do? What would be your plight, your condition at that point of time? Think it over as we move on. Keep that in your mind though. So let's know about our poet first. So John Allen McAlpin Berryman was an American poet and scholar. He was born in McAlester, Oklahoma, that's United States of America. He was educated at Clare College, Columbia University. The Dream Songs, 77 Dream Songs, and Berryman's Shakespeare are some of his famous works. He was awarded the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry in 1969. So you see, we have a very well-known and a renowned poet. Now let's move on to the poem. Now, as I have already explained to you before, when we talk of the poem, we have to know three things, and what are they? You have to know the rhyme scheme. You have to know your poetic devices, literary devices or figures of speech. All mean the same. And then you have to know what are these lines actually telling you. Yeah. So now while I, recite the poem, while I am doing this, you are going to try understanding what is the line actually trying to tell you. What is the message it is trying to give you. Yeah. So while I'm doing that, please also take care of your rhyme scheme. And of course, poetic devices, everything will be discussed at length with you. But I want you to work upon it before it comes before you. So give it a try. What is the boy now who has lost his ball? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. No use to say, oh, there are other balls. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. As he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went, I would not intrude on him. Now, after we have read this, first let's talk about the rhyme scheme. So, for the rhyme scheme, you have to, just tackle with the last word of every line. So you have ball, go, then, water, balls, boy, down, where, him. Any word rhyming? No, it's not. So in this case, when there is no rhyming, there's no rhyming pattern, no rhyming scheme, it is a free verse. Please understand, when you get this in your unseen poems, you should be able to, because most of the times this question is asked. Right? So it is a free verse. Why? Because there is no rhyme scheme. There is no pattern. There are no rhyming words. A dime. Another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. People will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes the epistemology of loss, how to stand up, knowing what every man must one day know and most know many days, how to stand up. So, what do you think are you getting the message out of this? So, it's a boy who's lost a ball which will never come back. It's gone into the harbor where he was just there, the water body over there, it's gone there. He's unable, he's standing there, he's trembling, he's shaking. He thinks it's the end. The poet is watching him. He can go get him another ball. He can just buy him another one, not a big deal. But the poet wants him to learn something. What? Let's go ahead and watch this. So yeah, the ball poem is about a boy who loses a ball in the water. He is very upset. Though the ball does not cost too much, it gives a big shock to him. He keeps staring at the place where his ball has gone. The poet sees all this, but he doesn't interfere with the boy's ruminations. Now you're seeing the whole thing. It is about the boy. He's lost the ball. He's very upset. He's a small boy, right? Though the ball does not cost too much, yet it's a big shock to him. Now, the boy does not know the value. For him, a toy is a toy. He does not know about the money factor. He keeps staring, where the ball has gone. He's just looking over there. And the poet is watching all this, but he doesn't interfere with the boy's ruminations. Ruminations as in his deep thoughts, his thoughts which are repeatedly going on and on. The ball is gone, oh my God. Continuously the thinking, the thought process is going on, but he does not interfere. The poet thinks that the loss of the ball will teach the boy a lesson of accepting the loss with tolerance and pleasure. Now, he's really tiny, but the poet has a very good lesson behind it. He says if he can easily go and get him the ball, but he wants him to learn what? How to accept that loss. Accept it with tolerance and pleasure. Okay, fine, it happened, accept it. Acceptance is the key. You have to do it. So he wants him to learn that. That is why he's not interfering. Everyone has to lose something or the other in this world. Still, they are to survive and fulfill their obligations. We all have lost. Think over. You also must have definitely lost something till day. Something or the other. Be it even a small novel, anything. You must have lost quite a few things. But hasn't the show been going on? Did the world come to an end over there for you? No. We have to continue. We have to accept. Okay, it went. Now, if it happened by mistake, then you have to make sure that you learn from your mistake. But if it just happened, then it's okay. You have to accept maybe that was supposed to happen. But that does not mean that you keep losing your things. Don't do that. Yeah? This loss makes the boy learn that gains and losses are part and parcel of life. You have gains also. That time you're happy. You spread happiness. You're elated. But at the same time, when you have a loss, don't get into deep grievances. Don't, get so depressed. One should accept them as a common matter. It happens. It is a part and parcel of life. We have to keep moving on. We cannot just stick to it. Now, what are the poetic devices that have been used in the poem? So you have alliteration. Now, these are the definitions of your poem, whatever they have been used. So let's quickly go through it, though we've done that in the previous poems. But this is a good recap for you. So, alliteration is a repetition of the initial letter. Betty butter, butter. The butter was too bitter. So, b, right? Generally a consonant. Anaphora is repeating a sequence of words at the beginning of the neighboring clauses. So, your beginning is always starting with the same word, the lines. Assonance is a vowel sound, is prominent throughout a line. So, E or O, it's a very continuous process in the same line. Then you have ascendatin, that is one or more conjunctions are deliberately omitted for a series of related clauses. This you will understand better as we, apply it on the sentences. Consonance is a consonant sound is prominent throughout a line. So you see, assonance is a vowel sound, consonance is a consonant sound. I'm sure we know what are vowels and consonants by now. In case you don't know, consonants are those letters which are not vowels. A, E, I, O, U, silent H. Yeah? Enjambment, these are the running lines, the continuous lines. They move to the next line, only then is it a complete thing. And they don't have any kind of punctuation to indicate a stop or a pause. Then you have imagery. The author's words create a vivid mental picture or physical sensation. While the poet is saying something that it's making you create some picture in your mind. It's a mental picture. You're using your senses. That is where it is imagery. And repetition is the intentional use of a word or phrase two or more times in the same line. The word is repeated. Yeah. Now this is word being repeated in the same line, and here you have anaphora where you are repeating the same word in different lines. Please take note of all this. So yeah, let's go and understand. Let's move further. Let's understand the difficult words. What do they actually mean? What do they really express? And then we shall go further to the explanation and the poetic devices of these two paras. So talking of lines 1 to 9, what is the boy now who has lost his ball? What? What is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing down the street and then merrily over. There it is in the water. Now, merrily bouncing means what? In a very cheerful way. Now, when you know the ball bounces, how it goes, it's a very cheerful thing. No use to say, oh, there are the balls. That means the word suggests that the loss is not important enough to worry about. Don't worry, it's a small thing. An ultimate shaking grief fixes the boy. Shaking grief as in sadness which greatly affects the boy. Now, for the boy, it's a toy. Okay, it's something, it's not just a ball, it's a toy. Now, for every child, you know, for them, toys are really precious. So, he's looking at it that he's lost a toy. Okay, for him, it's that. As he stands rigid as in stiff, he's just standing there and watching, the ball is gone, and he's continuously thinking over it. Trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor. Harbor is the place of refuge for the boats. You know, where the boats are all parked, that's a harbor. Where his ball went, I would not intrude on him. So you see, what are these lines? There are certain words that really don't, in case you don't understand the meaning, you will not be able to frame your answers. So getting the meaning, now let's move on to the explanation part of the lines. The poem is about a young boy who loses his ball. Usually, losing a ball should not be a big issue. Young boys usually lose their toys and balls quite often. It's a very common phenomenon. Children keep losing them. The ball is seen merrily bouncing down the street. It's going down, down, down. It's bouncing and going really cheerfully. And ultimately, the ball falls down into the water and it is lost forever. It's gone. The boy stood there sadly watching the ball go, but he was helpless. He was not able to run. It was not the thing for him to run and go and catch it. It was going way faster. Nor could he do anything to get the ball back. He saw it going. He was helpless. He couldn't go and get it back. The ball here symbolizes the innocent childhood of the boy which has slipped away and he wants it back. Now here childhood in the sense because you know it's the toy, it's connected to the childhood. So for him it's like over, it's gone. You know, for him it's like that. That's the viewpoint of the boy. And of course he wants it back. It is of no use to remind him that it was not a big loss. He can get more balls and continue his game very easily. But for the boy, the loss of the ball is a great loss. There may be other balls and perhaps he can hope to get any one of them. Very easy. However, the ball that he has lost can't be retrieved. Now that ball in particular which has gone into the water cannot be brought back. It has fallen into the deep water of the harbor. The boy is inconsolable. Inconsolable as in you can't, stop him from crying, from feeling bad, from feeling sad. You can't console him. He loses hope in himself and becomes depressed and hopeless. Now just see, that thing is gone. For him it is such a big thing. He's so connected to it that he feels it's all over for him, and so he starts feeling hopeless and depressed. He stands still. He doesn't even move, trembling and looking at the point where his ball has gone down into the harbor. He is standing there, he's shivering, he's scared sort of, he's nervous, and he just can't do anything about it. Here, the lost ball stands for the lost childhood and the harbor stands for the vastness of life. So if you are losing something in life, that's the message. if you are losing something, if you have lost something, don't stop. That's just a bend. It's not the end. You have to keep moving on. Accept the loss. You have to just accept it, that it was supposed to go, it went. It will not serve any purpose to remind him that the ball costs just a dime and is worth nothing. He says nothing, the ball just costs hardly a few rupees and that's it. But he did not want to tell him that. He wanted him to, the poet wanted that little boy to realize, to learn something out of it, or of the incident that happened to him. Let's talk of the poetic devices of the lines 1 to 4. You have alliteration where the first letter, the consonant is repeated. So it's boy, ball, b. Then you have anaphora where we said, you know, the same word is starting, it's there at the beginning of 2 lines or more. So you have what. So it is anaphora. Then you have assonance where we said, you know, the vowel is being repeated. So you have, now which is the vowel here common in these 3? It's A, right? A. Repetition, same word repeating in the same line. So what. Then you have enjambment, which is continuous lines, running lines. Yes. So what is he to do? I saw it go merrily bouncing. Now see, the line does not end here. I saw it go merrily bouncing. So it is a running line. So it is enjambment. Down the street and then merrily over. So from there it is continuing here. There is no pause. There is no punctuation. It is a running line. There it is in the water. So that is your enjambment. Again, assonance is talking about O, you know, the repetition of a vowel. And imagery, merrily bouncing. Now you're imagining it. It's merrily bouncing. You know, it's going there. So you're getting that picture, that mental picture. So this line is an imagery. I hope you have got these clear. Just in case you feel you want to refer to your, you know, the previous slide for the definitions, you can always refer in the notes. It's going to be there for you. Moving further, poetic devices of the next set of lines. So you have assonance in this, you have O, repetition of a vowel. So see, every time I am repeating the definition for you, please get it in your mind and you also keep repeating it. Yeah. So here it is O. Then here again assonance, repetition of a vowel. I. Can you see? Shaking, grief, fixes. So I is being repeated. Enjambment, we spoke just earlier. These are running lines, continuous lines. And ultimate shaking, grief, fixes the boy as he stands rigid, trembling, staring down. So fixes the boy as he stands rigid. It's a continuous thing, no pause, no punctuation. So enjambment. Alliteration, it is the repetition of the first letter, sir, stands, staring. So it is SS. Consonance is a repetition of the consonant. It is, now here it is stands, it is trembling, it is staring. So can you tell me what is common in all 3? The N. Yeah. So that's a repetition of the consonant. So consonants. Alliteration again, his, harbor, her, H. Consonants again is a repetition of the, come on, consonant. Very good. So here you have his, harbor, where. So in all 3 words you can find the H common, right? Enjambment, continuous lines. As he stands rigid, trembling, staring down all his young days into the harbor where his ball went, I would not intrude on him. Into the harbor where his ball went. So continuous, no punctuation, no pause. So are we clear? I hope so. Right? Let's move on to the next set of lines. So, a dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. Possessions as in things that are owned by someone. So, that's the world. It's a world full of possessions. Everyone owns something. People will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. And no one buys a ball back. Money is external. He is learning well behind his desperate eyes. Desperate as in having a great need or desire for something. You're desperately wanting it. His desperate eyes. The epistemology of loss, how to stand up. Now, what do you mean by the term? The theory of knowledge, especially with regard to its methods, validity, and scope, and the distinction between belief and opinion. So here when you are talking about the loss, everything about the loss, how is it connected, what is the opinion, what is the belief, that really gets it straight. How to stand up knowing what every man must one day know and most know many days, how to stand up. Now you lose something, you don't fall. You don't give up. You don't lose hope. You stand up. And this is what actually the poet is trying to teach this boy out here. But there comes a change in his mood and thinking. He realizes that in this world, the loss is the part of the game. The life is a game. And loss is a part and parcel of it, even the gains. It's just like a process of day and night. That's the cycle. He must take such losses in life in his stride. Achievements will follow losses in life, always the case. Day after night, night after day, it's always the case. And a thing that is lost once can't be retrieved or brought back. There are certain things, some, yes, probably you might get them back, but there are certain things which you lose for good, forever. Money can't buy the lost childhood, the lost dreams, and the lost feelings back. Money is external to such losses. Now this is what? Here he is saying money cannot buy you the childhood, the lost childhood. He's not saying child, he's saying the lost childhood. Here what this boy feels that everything is over. Money cannot buy him that back. You cannot get your lost dreams with money. Neither can you get your lost feelings back. So they are very precious. Please take care of all of them. Your childhood, yes, now you're young enough. Even this age is equally, every moment, every day is precious. But yes, take care of it. Your dreams, don't lose them. Make them, real for yourself. Work for them. And of course, your feelings. So everything is very precious. Remember, money cannot buy you these. Money is external to such losses. The poet gives a message of hope and encouragement. Ultimately, he comes out of his depression and hopelessness. He has to learn how he should stand up to bear the loss. The theme of the poem is that life is precious and should not be wasted. Money cannot get your lost part of the life where you did nothing. It cannot get you back. It cannot get you a single breath back. So never waste your time. Make the right use. Remember one mantra which I always believe in. Every moment should be productive. Whenever you spend some time doing something, ask yourself, introspect. Of course, there are times when you want to just, ease out. That's a different thing. But not every time, not every day. Every time, every moment is, productive. It has to be productive. So yeah, life has to be lived, and life can be lived purposefully with a purpose and fruitfully. You're going to benefit out of it only when we stand up and come out of depression. You cannot sit there cribbing and crying over something. We say you cannot cry over spilt milk. It's gone. It's the way it is said. So please don't do that. Don't ever sit and waste your time and then repent and regret when you get your results and you realize that you missed your distinction, you missed your first class by just a few marks, maybe by 1 mark. That 1 mark will make you really regret and repent. Why didn't I study a little more harder? So don't get yourself into that position, right? So yeah, talking about the poetic devices of these lines, you have a syndeton, a dime, another ball is worthless now. Now you see these words have not been connected with conjunctions. The conjunction has been replaced with a comma. So it is a syndeton where you are missing the conjunctions. you're using commas in place of it. Enjambment are the running lines. It goes to the next line. It does not stop. A dime, another ball is worthless. Now he senses first responsibility in a world of possessions. So you see, these are running lines. They are continuing to the next part. That is the reason it is called an enjambment. There is no pause. There is no punctuation. Another enjambment, in a world of possessions, people will take balls. Balls will be lost always, little boy. Now here again it is continuing to the next line. It is not indicating any kind of pause because there is no punctuation. So it is an enjambment. Alliteration in the first and the third line. You can see B, repetition of B. It's balls, balls, B, boy. Likewise, buys, ball, back. So it is B, right? So it is a repetition of the consonant, the first letter. And repetition is repetition of words in the same line. So here it is balls, balls, it is the same word being repeated in the same line. So it is a repetition. Please don't get confused. In alliteration, in repetition, assonance, consonants, they all have their own definitions. You have them in the slide. You can refer to your notes for the same. Moving further, you have assonance. It is the repetition of, come on, vowels. Perfect. Now, what is the vowel common in these three words? O, right? So, it is assonance. Enjambment, like we just spoke, the epistemology of loss. How to stand up knowing what every man. It is a continuous line. It is a running line. It is going to the next without a pause, without a punctuation. There is no punctuation indicating a pause. That is the reason it is an enjambment. It's going to the next line. If you see here again, knowing what every man must one day know and most know many days how to stand up. Yeah. Alliteration again. Now here you have two set of repetitions. So you see knowing, know, k, it's k. Man must, m. Alliteration, it is a repetition of the consonant. I am only talking of the first letter of the word. And then you have assonance. Now if you look at this, what is it? It is o. It is a repetition of vowels. Yes, I'm sure you have got your figures of speech by now. The number of times we have been repeating, the number of times, we have, done it with every example. You will definitely know it very soon if you still haven't got the hang of it. But I'm sure by now, you guys must have definitely got it. So yes, let's move to the concluding part of our poem. Grief is like the ocean. It comes in waves, ebbing and flowing. Grief comes to you. It comes not to stay. It comes to flow away. It will definitely come. There's no one who has not faced it. But yes, when we face it, we become stronger if you take it with the right spirit. Sometimes the water is calm and sometimes it is overwhelming. Now calm as in that time you feel life is a bed of roses. No issues in your life, everything sorted. You feel everything is going fine. That is the time you feel the water is calm. That's what it means to say. And sometimes it is overwhelming. Now overwhelming can be a lot of sadness, a lot of happiness, a lot of it. Whatever emotion is there, it's a lot of it. It's overwhelming. But all we can do is learn to swim. No matter what situations, what circumstances come our way, we have been told by Vicky Harrison that what we have to learn is to swim. We have to, go through these situations, learn your lessons from them and keep moving on. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't be hopeless. Don't be depressed. Just keep moving on, that this will also pass away. Remember, nothing comes to us. No grief, no happiness, no sadness. Nothing comes to us to stay. They all come to move on. They flow away. Right? So please remember this always. Now this is not just, for your lesson, for you to write, but also a very practical lesson. It is a lesson of your life that you need to use. You need to make sure that you go exactly the same manner. So yeah, for many more such lessons, keep watching and keep learning.